When did we become these sinking stones? When did we build this broken home?
Hello guys of United Rock Nations, we are with Johnny of Nothing More. Everything is going well?
Going great. I love France. This is my first time here.
The first time in France?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so our listeners sure don't know a lot about Nothing More. Can you tell us the story of Nothing More? I know it's a long time you create the band.
Yeah. We have a very long story, so it's hard to condense a lot of times. But I was in middle school when I met Daniel and Mark, who are the guitar and bass player.
Yes.
And we played together for years in different things. And right when I was about to get out of high school, we came to a fork in the road to say, okay, do we go to college or do we tour in a broken down RV that we have to restore? And we decided to tour, yes. Against the better advice of our parents and grandparents. But it really was the right decision for us. And we got this RV out of a field that had raccoons living in it, put a new engine in it, decked it out. And we didn't have a label, we didn't have a manager, anything. We just knew that we wanted to do music with our lives. And so we took that step, and over time we just started building it in the region of Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma, kind of south central United States. And really a lot of twists and turns. And I was the drummer for all these years. I wasn't a singer. When I was 7 years old, I went to a rock show with my dad, and ever since that moment, I knew I wanted to play music for the rest of my life.
And the band was at that show?
Oh no, I was 7 years old, so I didn't even know them yet. I met them in 7th grade when I was in middle school, but I don't know what they were doing at that age.
It was rock or heavy metal? Or?
It was rock. It was rock. And so from that moment on, I was looking for band members, and it's hard to find serious musicians when you're young because nobody knows what they want to do yet. And
exactly.
But so I at that same age, or maybe a little bit later, I tried out for the choir at school. I had been playing the drums for a little while now, and I wanted to try out singing. And I went to a private school, which was only about 10 to 15 people in my class, very small.
Yes.
And there was only like 2 kids that didn't make the choir, and I was one of them. And you know how it is when you're younger and you have those impressionable moments that you take with you into your adulthood. Well, for years and years and years, I had the idea in my head that I couldn't sing, that I just wasn't a singer. And we came to this point down the road after we had started touring for a while, where we had just gone through a bunch of different singers, and we just never felt quite right. And
the good one.
Yeah, it never fit just right. And it was one night in Mexico when I had too many drinks that I looked at my guitar player and with a crooked eye said, I'm going to be the singer. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And he was like, you're probably just drunk, let's talk in the morning. And it was the most clear I'd ever been. And the next morning when I sobered up, I still felt that way in my gut. And I told my parents and all my friends, I was like, you know what, I'm going to sing. And they all gave me this funny look because I really didn't sound good. I wasn't a good singer. It was more of a feeling that I had. Yeah. Like if anyone who's watching, or you would have heard me then, you would have said, yeah, you should probably stay on the drums. And so
I don't believe it, so because you have a good voice. So.
Well, thank you. I really wanted to test out a theory that, are you born with a good voice, or can you develop it?
Yes.
And I found out through trial and error that you can develop one. And so I started singing. We started playing a bunch of shows, and we had fill-in drummers temporarily. I still played the drums on the records, and we.
And you took lessons?
Singing?
Yes.
No. I took 2 lessons from a friend, just to get like my breathing right and just the right fundamental like understanding, and really it was trial and error after that. And so we were on the hunt for a drummer now, and Paul, the drummer who we have, is from New Orleans, and he was the final piece of the puzzle. And that's why when we released this record, even though it's not our first record as a band,
yes, I know.
it's called it's our self-titled record, and it's our first record with a label. So we did self-titled because it's the first record with all four of us, with the all the pieces of the puzzle together, and we feel like it represents exactly who we are.
Good. And why it takes so long between The Few Not Fleeting and this new album?
Well, those were a bunch of years of me kind of growing into being a singer, because that was the first record I had sung on, and it was kind of an experiment. And we had a bunch of different drummers, or actually two different drummers during that time period. And that was like the biggest question mark of like, okay, how are we going to tour with, we don't have a permanent drummer. And and we also, there was a lot of tragedy that happened in that time period that probably pushed off the next record for quite a while, which most of the songs you hear on this record are from that time period where my mom had a long battle with cancer that she passed away from. My sister had a drug addiction mixed with some very heavy bipolar disorder. I broke up with a 5.5-year relationship, and so did the guys. They had long relationships that ended really badly. We had financial struggles. Like, it just all was, you know, when it rains, it pours, that saying. It really just all came down in that one time period, and this record was a culmination of all those experiences, and it was a healing process. So it took us a while to finish this record, because it was difficult, like, to get through those things personally, but also put them into words. Is, you know.
I understand. Yes. It was difficult to find a record company.
Yeah, we. This is the first one we've signed to after all these years, and we, 2 years before, we had been to New York City and we'd been to LA and had showcases and had big labels look at us and pass and go, nah, and say no thanks. And so we were just like, we were at all these crossroads over and over where we got rejection and had to say either they're right, we should quit, or we're going to keep going, we believe in it. And so we kept each other accountable and pushed forward. And then 11/7 out of the blue one day just called us and was like, after we released this new record, and we're flipping out, like they just loved it. And about a week after they called us, we played this big festival where we happened to showcase in front of thousands of people, and there was all these labels watching side stage, all these reps. And then we had a flurry of labels interested in us, like overnight, phone calls, emails, just whatever. So we went to all these meetings and went to New York City and back to LA, and we're trying to understand who these people were and who we wanted to work with. And meanwhile, 11/7 were the first ones to reach out to us that really wanted it. And at the end of the day, we decided to go with 11/7 at the end of all of it, because they were just beating down the door. They were passionate, and we've always made the right decision when we've put the right people around us. That's been our I think in life, just in anything, has been the strongest thing, is finding the right people and surrounding yourself with them. And we really felt like they were so on fire for the band that it was just a no-brainer. At one point, it was like, we got to go with them.
And now you're here.
Yeah, now we're here in France.
How you will define your music?
It's progressive, and I hate using genre words, because a lot of times when you say, oh, it's rock, or it's hints of metal, or hardcore, or this and that, you get put into this box in people's minds sometimes, and or they associate you with another band or a stereotype. And I like the word progressive the most because there's bands that are progressive that sound nothing alike. Like Pink Floyd,
Pink Floyd
is progressive, but then so is Tool and Meshuggah, and it's like they sound so different than each other. If you know,
but they both are progressive.
But they're both progressive, and so I think progressive kind of, it's a little more limitless, and it reflects more of what we feel we are. Like when we approach our music, when we write it, we try to put layers into it of meaning and hidden things that you didn't hear the first time, and really think it out. And so I'd say progressive, but also dualistic. We like to have dynamic from soft and sweet to hard and bitter,
Yes.
and really embracing dualism and all that.
And tell me more about the writing process. So who creates the song? Who brings the idea? Is it a collective process?
Yeah, it's very democratic. Like we come together.
Each one brings.
Yeah. We all have a vote. we debate and fight about it, and it's just everything. The lyrics, the music. We work on it together, and then we split apart. And a lot of times, I'll take the music that we worked on into the studio, and I'm kind of the computer guy, and I'll do a lot of tweaking and reworking of what we just created. So I'll put it through another filter.
Yes.
And then, Mark does a lot of more organic writing on the guitar and idea creation, and Daniel's real good with the lyrics. But we all have our hands in all of it. But we have our strengths, and we try to then bring it back together after we took it apart individually. So it goes through all these filtering stages, and I think that's been the best creative process is, okay, this is an okay rock song. Now let's come back to it in a week, and then let's screw it all up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
it's better. There's a lot of hits on the albums.
Cool.
Why you have chosen the first ballast for the first single?
That was a tough decision at first, because we you know how it is when as an artist
It was the record company?
Well, it was a combination of things. It was the record company, it was our management, and it was us. And that one felt right after thinking on it and talking about it. And it kind of, in hindsight, I'm really glad that we picked it, because it really has like a lot of songs on the record are very specific to a very specific story or a situation. Like Jenny, for example, is a very specific situation and person, and a lot of the songs are like that. Whereas This Is the Time, Ballast, is a song that's kind of about all of the songs on the record. It's a concept.
It's representative.
Yes, yeah. It kind of encapsulates all of them, and it also is it's the starting point in the progression of the whole record. The whole record's a concept album, and it starts on the bottom of the ocean floor, like the first track going into Ballast, or This Is the Time. And I always call it Ballast because that was our first title for it. And what ballast is when in submarines they use ballast to make them sink.
Okay.
And the music video kind of illustrates the concept of in life, we have these, as humans, I think we have very strong emotional muscles that we're very good at holding on, and we're very good at gripping things. But, notice that the muscles to let go are a totally different set of muscles emotionally, and we're not very good at that. And so that song's about learning how to let go, and as soon as you let go of the ballast, you float. And life is very much like that, I think. And so the whole record, sorry to be very long-winded.
No, it's a good thing.
We all grew up in a kind of a religious background because of our parents. That's just what we were born into. And so we have kind of biblical metaphors and things because that's what we grew up around. And there's this concept in the Bible about the baptism of water, and then there's a concept about the baptism of fire. And when I learned about those concepts, they seem very symbolic of those 3 to 5 years that we went through leading up to this record.
Yes.
Because the baptism of water, like our record starts underwater, is when you basically have a rebirth or like a change in your thought process or a new direction. And after you have that, you have the baptism by fire, which is actually walking down that road, and the trials of life. That's the fire. That's the refining process. And so the whole record goes from water to fire, and it ends with the last song called Pyre,
yes.
which is a funeral fire. At a funeral, you put all the belongings of either the loved one or things that you had attached to them in the fire as a final goodbye, a letting go, a moving on.
That's the reason why the last song is very experimental.
Yeah,
It's not a song like the others.
It's not a song like to jam out to. It's a thought process.
Okay, 17 songs on the album. It's a lot. Usually, we have 10 songs, 12 songs.
Yeah.
Why all these songs? Do you have more songs?
Or
you put everything on the album?
Well, we had like about 60 song ideas. They weren't complete, but we had to filter all of them down to. Originally we were going to do 12 or 10 or 12 like the normal
12,
record,
yes,
because it would have been cheaper and it would have been quicker if we just did that. But we couldn't get past these 17.
It's a concept album, so
yeah, there were songs that just were too reflective of things that we felt were important in that time period that couldn't get lost. That we had to. They're kind of the monuments to these experiences. And so it just ended up being 17, and we weren't on a label at the time, and we didn't have any pressures from anybody. And we said, what the hell? Like, we like it. Let's put out 17. That's what we want to do. And also every band, I think in this age, the digital age, it's like everybody's doing smaller things like EPs and singles. And we're like, fuck that. Let's do 17. Let's go longer.
Good. We have some songs we want to know more about, for example, MTV.
Yeah.
It talks about what?
That's a fun one. It starts with the Dire Straits song, Money for Nothing.
Yes, I listen.
Yeah, so it's like we decided to start it with that as kind of like a time capsule to show, almost to contrast what MTV is now than what it was when that song was written.
Yes, absolutely.
And it used to be music television. And the whole, I want my MTV, the I want my MTV has now become just I want. Like, I just want my drugs, I want my sex, I want my fast food. I just want it now. Like, and that's what that MTV is now. It's not music television.
Absolutely.
And it's like just change the name. Like, change it. Like, I'm sure, I know they wouldn't for like corporate. I get the reasons why, but it's like, it's just this fast food television, reality TV show bullshit.
I'm okay with you.
And when we're fed, we just hate it. So we wrote a song about it.
You won't have a video on MTV.
Yeah. I know. That's the thing. We want to challenge them. Play our video about how much we hate you.
There is also another song called I'll Be Okay. There is electronic parts on this song. I think it's the only one, or...
Yeah, well, there's like there's the verses, which are a little bit ambient and very affected guitars and bass and like a little bit of an electronic loop. And then the end of the song gets real vibey with like a guitar and this electronic beat. I was saying earlier, like duality, like we like the duality from very... inorganic, like electronic stuff, to organic and real and pure. And we like to work between the two, just like we like to work between soft and loud and bitter and sweet. And I think it's just another one of those elements in our music.
And is it easy to play those songs live? Because the structures are very difficult. The sound is full. So is it difficult to play live?
Some songs are very hard. Honestly, some are easier. And
you use the samples?
We do. It just depends on what. We don't replace any vocals. We don't have any parts that are like who's playing that. Like we have. It's very like just very backing, like ethereal, like stuff.
Synths, probably. No?
Yeah. Some sense that, but it's never like. It's never what you would like the stuff we're playing on stage, but we're not playing it. It's not that. You know what I mean? It's just very subtle, kind of atmospheric kind of qualities.
You never thought to have another additional musician when you're playing another guitarist, for example?
We can't afford it. Honestly, maybe one day we'll have somebody else up there. Who knows?
So let's talk about the plans of touring. I know that you will be in France on the 10th June.
Yep. Yeah. It's gonna be very fun.
It's the first concert in France.
Yep.
And it will be also the first concert in Europe, or not?
I think we're playing a download festival, which
okay.
I think is before that.
It's before, okay.
But so it'll be the first one in France.
Do you plan to come back after?
Yes.
There's only one gig in France.
Yeah, we're gonna come back after that. Do
you know when?
I don't have anything for certain,
Yes.
but late fall, winter.
Yes.
Is so maybe like November, December, somewhere in there. We're gonna try to come back.
Has a headliner or with another super band?
Ideally, with another band, because we're still so new. We need to. We still need to kind of be under somebody's wing. You know.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and see you the 10th June on concert.
Excellent.
Thank you. Bye.
This is Johnny Hawkins from Nothing More. You're listening to United Rock Nations.
When did we become these sinking stones? When did we build?